Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this special edition of Press Play Streaming Studios Movie Chat. We are starting a new segment. This is our second show called Grave Reviews. Thank you to everyone who voted on the name. I really like the results and how it turned out, so thank you very much for that. And someone you haven't seen in quite a while, my normal co-host is in with us tonight. Everyone say hello to Miss Chantal. Welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing really, really well. As you can tell, I'm super excited about this
Such a
movie.
great movie. Such a
It
great movie.
is.
And the fact that it has a really cool Star Wars connection also is
Yes,
kind of fun
yes,
too.
yes. I
So
had that in my trivia, actually.
yes. So, Carrie, 1976. This was the first movie adaptation for Stephen King.
Mhm.
And the thing that I thought was really cool about that is a lot of people didn't know this, but when King wrote Carrie, he actually wrote 3 pages and then threw it in the garbage.
Yeah. Yeah.
His wife came and got it out and said, "No, you need to
You
finish
need to
this."
finish it.
And then when he finished it, he put it on the shelf and kind of forgot about it for a little bit and went on to start writing Salem's Lot.
Hmm.
And then once it was published, of course, the movie just absolutely just shot him off into stardom. And, as prolific as he
The
is,
book was a hit.
um, yeah, oh, absolutely. And it came in, the movie also came around about the same time as, we were coming up from Rosemary's Baby and The
Mhm.
Exorcist and then this movie. And Stephen King actually says that he likes the movie
Much
better
more
than
than his
his
own book.
book,
Yeah. He
which I
likes
thought
the
was a
ending more,
yeah,
which
absolutely.
all of his endings suck from what I've heard about his
No,
book.
I love King. I've read a ton of his stuff.
Hmm.
It's and Carrie's a fantastic book. They actually tried in the studio, and we'll get there. They tried in the studio to do the ending just like he had it in the book,
Yeah,
and
but they
it
couldn't
didn't
make it work.
work.
Yeah.
And it worked out better in this instance. So, just to take a quick roll call, I know we've got kind of a small room tonight, but Dragon Buddy, Belzora Hollows in. They're all going to laugh at you, she says, which is your tagline. I love that. Dragon Buddy. Maureen is in the house. Hello, babe. We
Hi,
love you.
more.
I see someone in there called General Chanobi. I'm not sure who she is, but Uh, so, um, so let's talk about the cast real quick on this. This
Okay.
was a kind of a prolific cast as far as the careers that came out of this.
Hmm.
We had, of course, Sissy Spacek who played
Yep.
Carrie. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not a Sissy Spacek fan,
Hmm.
but man, she was perfect in this role. She killed it.
Yep.
And then we had Piper
Hmm.
Laurie, which was Margaret White,
Yep.
her mother. Now, correct me here, or I'm gonna let you have this ball and run with it. She was a pretty prolific
Yes.
actress before this, correct?
She was, and actually, I had read that I think she hadn't even been acting for like 10 to 15 years, and then she was handed the script of Carrie, and she went ahead and did it, even though she thought it was completely ridiculous. Like, she thought it was a dark comedy.
Yes, and still to this
And
date.
still does. Yeah, she
Yep,
tells people she thinks it's a comedy.
yep. She was fantastic in this. And a
Both
lot of people,
nominated.
yeah, oh, absolutely. A lot of people
Hmm.
also didn't know that Sue Snell,
Hmm.
the antagonist who turned into someone who was trying to help Carrie,
Right.
was actually originally the one that the director wanted for Carrie's role.
Correct.
And I thought that was really cool that also her mother
Is her actual
in
mother.
in the movie is her actual mother. I thought that was really neat. And then we had William Catt, who played Tommy Ross, who was the stud football player,
And the
who was
greatest
also
American hero.
and believe it or
No,
not,
no.
I'm walking on
I
air.
love that song.
What a great show! um, and do you? I'll let you when you get to your Star Wars tie-in. Tell us about a little bit more about that. Nancy Allen.
Mhm.
Wow.
Bitch.
She was, in everything she's ever been in, even when
Mhm.
she was like in RoboCop and movies like that, where she was, somewhat of a badass woman.
Right.
Um, there was something about her that made you love her.
Mhm.
But man, she just killed this role. She
She's a
absolutely made you
perfect
hate her.
bully. Perfect bully.
perfect. And she also kind of thought it was ridiculous and
She
overacting
did.
until she saw it live, and she was like, or until she saw the premiere, and she was like, "Wow, that's
She thought
great."
her and John Travolta's characters were like total morons, and
They were,
she
yeah,
didn't think like,
absolutely. And then with John Travolta, and this was his first role outside of his first leading
major.
role
Yeah.
outside of Welcome Back, Cotter.
Yeah.
And then one of my personal favorite actresses from the era, Miss J.P. Stoles.
I love JP.
She's the
Come
queen. She's
on.
the scream queen to be of scream queens. I mean, she was in this. She was in Halloween.
She was in
Um,
Stripes, which is one of my favorite comedies.
she starred in Rock and Roll High School with the
Mhm.
Ramones. I mean, you gotta love her. Gotta love JP. I've always said I've always wanted to start a band and call it JP Stoles and the Scream Queens. I thought that would be
That
great.
would be a kick-ass name for a band, actually.
Yep.
I
And then
approve.
there you go, Belzora. You were looking for a name for your band. JP Stoles and the Scream Queens.
There you go.
Betty Buckley, who played Miss
Yes.
Collins.
Mhm.
She was another one that was just fantastic in that
Yeah.
in that. So in the green room we have a special guest. Let's bring in Miss Nicole from
Oh,
Rogue
hello.
One Radio. Hi,
I am
Nicole.
so sorry. I
No!
was rushing from an appointment and I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta go. So
That's
here
okay. I was in Sidebar Cantina and it's 7:44 and DB's like, "Don't you have a stream to be on?" I thought it was still at 8:00. It's 7:45.
G-Force Racing just jumped on, and so did Fulcrum
G-Force!
Entertainment. So good to see you
awesome,
guys. We
awesome.
appreciate you coming in. If I could say this, Nicole,
Yes.
I have been for some time trying to find a way to get you on our stream. I've loved seeing you and other people's, your energy and everything is great. And I've just been so I'm personally excited that you're here. So just so you know,
Me
I'm
too.
kind of pumped.
I am too. I'm excited because this is my type of horror because I feel like there's so many genres within horror.
Yes.
And this is mine. This is one of my faves.
So
So
so are you're more into the psychological, more so
yes.
than the slasher?
Mhm.
Yes, the
Yeah.
psychological, the thriller.
Supernatural. Yeah.
Right. Give me Stephen King, give me Alfred Hitchcock.
Mhm.
Give me Shanti knows my heart. We love give me the black and white, give me the old vintage too.
Yeah, give me the old Universal
Yeah.
monsters and
Yep.
stuff like
So
that.
so if someone make a note to remind me, because what I'd like to do is talk about the movie I'd like to do next,
Mhm.
and talking about being in black and white brought that to mind. So towards the end, remind me, and I'll tell you about the movie
I'm
that
like,
I'd like to cover.
I know I
Okay.
got all excited, like, wait. What are you talking about?
So all right. So does anyone have any clue how much money this movie made?
No, that I did not. I don't know actually.
Its
Mhm.
budget was 1.8 million, which was not too terribly cheap at the time,
Yeah, at the
1976.
time.
It
Mhm.
brought in 33 million US alone. So yeah, to
This
say
was a
that it
big
was a
movie.
hit,
Mhm.
it
This
was
was a hit.
definitely a hit.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Um,
not bad for it being a Stephen King's first
Mhm.
book to movie adaptation. Now, you might have probably already mentioned that, but not bad, right? I
no,
mean,
Not
not
at
at all.
all.
awesome.
And when Stephen King says that had this book not taken off and had it not been made into a movie, he's not sure if his life or his marriage would have been the
Meredith,
same.
it's true.
Mhm.
So yeah, this movie is a real big reason why we have such great, wonderful writings today from Stephen King. I mean, he's got at this age, he's got I think 60 plus novels out, and he's got two more coming out this year.
Wow.
The guy's crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a writing nut,
Nut. Mhm.
absolutely writing nut.
Jinx.
So before we get into the movie, let's talk about the. Thank you, Belzora. That's going to be part of our trivia, I'm sure, as our fun facts come up
Yes,
tonight.
yes, she's correct. She is
uh,
correct.
so
Okay,
we'll
I
go ahead and break that
know
out
too much
for us,
fun fact.
Chantal.
What
The
happened?
Yeah, so go ahead and break that one out for us about what they did with Stephen King.
Yeah, they misspelled his name. So instead of it being Stephen King as with a PH, they did it the traditional way, the STEVE instead. Instead, that's how little he was known. That they ain't even give enough of a shit to spell his name right.
Well, and the funny thing is I bet if you look back on it, he was like, I don't care.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, he's like whatever.
Yeah, I think they only paid him not even like $3,000.
It was like
It was
$2,500 for the rights. Yeah,
Yep.
it was cheap.
500.
That's
But
just
he said he didn't care.
no.
They should give him back some royalties or something as a thank you.
At this point, I don't think he needs them.
It actually opened a door for him because now he got his foot in, and people go, "Wait, there's this really good writer that that can actually go onto screen." And here we go.
Well, his very next book, actually, Salem's Lot, wound up being a made-for-TV movie, which was scary as it was one of my earliest recollections is watching that as a child and being scared to death.
Yeah.
The child vampires in that movie were just fantastic.
Am I incorrect for saying that he is probably the one author that has had the most movies adapted from their books? I mean, when you really think about it,
movies, TV plays,
Yeah.
miniseries, things like that, then I would say you're absolutely correct as far as a single author is concerned.
I think, or he might also be up there with Roald Dahl too, though. They might.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. They might be tied.
Yeah. We'd have to. I'd have to look. Someone in the chat look into that and let us know.
Yeah, I want to know.
So all right. So before we get going, and we're talking trivia information now, Miss General Chanobi, please tell us a little bit about the Star Wars connection with Carrie.
Well, William Catt had actually auditioned for Luke Skywalker. And you should go and look on YouTube because I've seen the old footage of him going through his audition process. And then Amy Irving, who plays Sue Snell, she had actually auditioned to play Princess Leia.
Yes.
So I thought that was very interesting. Oh, and fun fact, she married Steven Spielberg.
Yes.
And they were married for a while, for a little bit.
Yeah. Did you hear how they met?
Yes, I did. Brian De Palma said, "Hey, Steven, come down here. There's a lot of cute babes." And Amy Irving was literally the only one who said yes to Steven Spielberg for a date.
So what I found really interesting when and I had heard this a long time ago, but that Lucas and De Palma, in order to save money, were holding casting calls for Star Wars and Carrie at the same place at the same time. So a lot of people who auditioned for one just kind of walked across the hall and auditioned for the other. It was actually rumored, which Carrie Fisher put this to bed and said it's not true, but it was rumored that Carrie Fisher got the part as Carrie and basically said, no, I'm not going to do the nude scenes, and switched roles, which we all know is untrue, with Sissy Spacek. So that's kind of an interesting little fact.
Carrie Fisher was like, no, I would have gone nude.
Because I'd be nude right now.
She didn't care. Yeah. Please.
Because she, as she said, in space, there are no bras.
In space.
It's so funny. Anyway,
also no underwear or bras at the beginning of this movie. That opening is insane.
Yeah, and you can definitely tell it's from the 70s.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Not saying why, but there's a lot going on there.
70s.
So, have you guys ever seen the TV cut for this? Go ahead, Nicole.
Yeah. So interesting story, because I actually watched it last night. I don't know if you caught it. I know Shanti caught it. So I watched it last night when we were getting the lunar eclipse, and no joke, the blood scene, the pig scene, was at the same time as the whole actual blood moon actually came over. I'm like, is this really happening? Is this
right as it was being dumped on her? The lunar eclipse came to totality.
It was not meant to be. It was free on Pluto. So I was like, okay, well, I've never seen this one particular one. And they said it was also the one that's supposedly the closest to the book.
It is, yeah.
There's really only one thing I actually really liked about the movie, actually. But I was like, couldn't believe it. We're getting closer and closer. And, here's a commercial here and there. And I'm like, there's no way. Are you kidding me? The full blood moon's coming out. I could see Kelly and Shanti are writing about, oh my gosh, outside, take a look at the moon. And I'm like going, oh my gosh, but Carrie's on it and she's about to have this pig blood dumped on her. And this is happening now. Like, well, no longer is it last night. It's like what, 12 a.m., 12:05.
I was dead asleep by then.
I was outside like an idiot with my phone.
I don't know how I slept last night, just so we're all clear. I don't know how, because I'm like going between Carrie and the blood moon. I'm like, wow,
that's really cool.
It was nutty. I was like, oh. In fact, I almost didn't even go out the last time because I'm like, this is too much at the same time.
When De Palma filmed this, he actually filmed 2 takes. He filmed one with the nude scene, and he also filmed one with we'll say strategically placed towels.
Yes.
Which is what they used for the TV versions.
Yes.
And to be honest with you, I've seen both, and it doesn't really take anything away from it.
Right.
It doesn't. It's completely gratuitous.
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible.
It's the 70s, man.
It was, and of course, the movie. If we were to do a synopsis today, we'd say it's a coming of age story, right?
Absolutely. I would say so.
Horror, yeah.
But the horror that we see on screen is not nearly the telekinesis that she uses is not nearly as horrifying as the way she was treated through her whole life.
Yes.
Through the bullies at school, the bully at home. This is really every nerd who was ever picked on in their entire life has watched this movie and went, yes, I wish I could have telekinesis. I would do the same thing, or I would do a similar thing, or it was kind of a cry of victory to all of us who were in the shadows, so to speak.
I was obsessed with this movie when I was like 12 or 13. I would say that's when I watched it, because I remember being at my other school before I got into high school, and I was teased incessantly at my middle school and absolutely hated it. So when I watched this movie, I was just like, God, do I relate? Boy, do I relate. And especially also kind of feeling like a little bit like the oddball, and also in my family. So I totally granted, my family is nothing like Carrie's mother, but just that thing of not connecting with your family, and then you're not connecting with your peers, so you kind of have that feeling of, where do I belong?
Right.
So I totally understood the Carrie character. Now, I do not condone her actions
to a point,
but I get where she's coming from.
Right.
And that actually used to be something like that I said at 13. If I could only show these people, this is what you're doing to me. You're torturing me so much. This is what I feel like doing back, because I feel too weak to actually fight back, whether physically or even verbally. I used to just take whatever they said. I wouldn't even say anything back. I would just walk away with my head down and just I'm such a loser. So I totally get Carrie.
I get it too. So before we get into the spoilery section, by the way, we do spoil movies. If you're in the chat room and
it's from 1976, if you haven't seen it by now,
it's 46 years old.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it by now, shame on you.
For real.
Okay, but if you want to go watch it real quick, hold on.
It's on Prime.
It's on Prime Video.
Okay, so you should be back in time for us to watch the movie now. Okay. Carrie, here's what I think Sissy Spacek brought to this that no one else probably could. You saw a progression not only of her telekinesis, but you also saw a progression of her socially. Yeah. She was at the beginning very awkward, very I don't, that don't look at me type, to the point where she's going to the prom and she's telling her mom, I'm going, and she becomes more vocal. And so you see this progression through the whole thing. That is, the acting was done so well. I'm telling you though, if you've seen the movie in the chat room, if you've seen it and you haven't watched it since you were young,
Mhm.
Watch it as an adult. You're going to see some social commentary that is really was never shown like right in your face, but it was like part of the whole story arc that makes
Yeah.
you the progression and how well they all get along or move along through the story. It really is why that people like Quentin Tarantino say this is one of their favorite movies of all time.
Mhm.
Shout out. Hi, Don. Don's in the chat.
John,
Don.
you don't know what I'm wearing down here, Don.
Oh,
You don't know what I'm wearing down
you
here, and
know,
you can't
getting
see it.
back to Sissy Spacek really quick, and
Yes,
I
go.
have seen the Rage Carrie 2. I have seen the one that's on TV. I did not see the one with Chloe Grace Moretz, even though I like her. But I remember seeing the trailer quite a bit, and I still say that the one thing that Sissy Spacek had over everybody also, it's just something about her eyes. The way that she was actually able to make herself look like you can tell she's actually using her telekinesis at that moment. And she just looks almost so whacked out and it's almost mesmerizing. I mean, she really has this very freaky, scary look to the point where actually cannot even laugh at it. The other ones, it comes off a
Right.
little cheesy, but for some
Mhm.
reason it doesn't come off cheesy when it's Sissy Spacek.
Yeah. No,
So,
I
really
totally agree.
major kudos to her.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree. She's very genuine. This is a
Mhm,
very iconic Sissy Spacek.
mhm.
You know, this is this is her baby. This is her movie. When I watched the other one like last night, I was like, no.
Yeah.
Except I take that back. Except for the young Carrie that they
Mhm.
showed us. Now that was what was different for that movie that I actually liked is that they showed us, a little bit of the backstory.
Right.
That and I hate to jump ahead, but the car wreck where she causes the
Right.
car wreck
Yes,
was
yes.
more along the line of the book. So I did like that
Yeah.
better.
Right.
But as a whole, you know,
1976 movie.
as a whole, if I hate to do
You're
this
given the
early in the
choice.
show,
Yeah.
but if this movie gets 4.5 buckets of blood out of 5. I
Yeah.
mean, it is nearly perfect,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, even
nearly
Stephen
perfect.
King said he didn't understand why the remake was even happening in 2013. He was like,
Yeah,
"Why?" He was like, "The original one is so good," and I agree
yeah,
100%. Some movies I believe just shouldn't be touched.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Agreed.
It's like music to me. I mean, no one should ever try to remake Bohemian Rhapsody.
I agree. I agree.
It's the
Definitely.
same thing.
I agree.
It's the same thing. All right, so the shower scene happens and for the so she has her period and her mother has never told her about it and the other girls instead of being nice, and trying to help her, they immediately, start chanting at her and throwing things at her. It's a horrible.
Plug it up.
And I was
Plug.
gonna say, as a man, how do you feel about that
Good
scene? Like, do
question.
you still, even though you cannot relate? I mean, obviously, Nicole and I, as women, it is the most horrific thing
Perfect.
that I
Right.
can think of
I, you
women
know,
on women crime. You know what I
as a
mean?
very young age when I saw this,
Mhm.
it didn't affect me nearly as much as it did when I watched it as an
As
older
an adult.
teenager, and then the
Okay.
third or fourth time in my 20s. I sat there just, I felt horrible for her.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing was, is even when I was, like I said, in my mid 20s or early 30s, whatever it was, when I'd watched it for the fourth or fifth or sixth time, whatever it was,
Mhm.
um, I don't know if I was at that point just because I'd seen it before, if I was angrier at them for doing that or angry at her mother for not
Right.
explaining what was going to
Both.
happen. I
Mm-hmm.
was furious. I felt so bad for her.
Mhm.
Right.
So bad for her.
Right.
And then the one teacher, Miss Collins,
Yeah.
really does try
Love
to,
Collins.
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
but this is 1976. I mean,
Mhm.
Carrie's getting a little hysterical. What's Miss Collins do? She smacks the crap out of her.
Mhm. There's a
You know,
lot of
Um,
abuse in this room.
Can you?
She
Yeah.
smacks Chris across the face too during detention. I'm like, holy shit!
And smacks the snot out of her, and then John Travolta doesn't he smacks her later in the
Smacks
movie.
Chris.
But let's face it, okay, as much as we all love Nancy Allen, she deserved to get smacked more than once as this character.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh,
Yeah, Nancy and Chris, they were the original Mean Girls before we had
Mhm.
Mean Girls in the 2000s or Heathers or anything. These were the original Mean Girls. I
Oh
good.
mean,
yeah.
what Shanti said, this is for you as a guy, you look at it differently, but us for females, it's like, how
How
is this even
how
possible?
can you do this to another female?
Yeah.
Exactly, because I'm like, no. Usually there is a lot of, even if you don't like somebody, okay?
Yeah.
Even girls that bullied me in high school, if they needed, excuse me, a feminine product, I would have been like, oh yeah, here you go. Have a great day. You want a piece of chocolate? You know what I mean? Like exactly. Like there is some sympathetic, empathetic, we understand, we
Unwritten
get it.
rule. Yes.
I could literally see, and again, this is coming from a guy's point of view, right? But I could see the sideways hand over the mouth snicker,
Yeah.
Right.
but still help.
Right.
Right.
But the mob, that scene really did show the mob mentality.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Um, as Kay said, people are panicky, dangerous animals.
Yeah.
And that's,
Right.
I mean, that's exactly
It's true.
the truth.
Mhm.
That's
Right.
exactly the truth.
Although
So
you
go
brought up
ahead.
a really good point, though, in regards to the mom, both as a mom myself and, of course, my parents always had me prepared. So I get it. In fact, when I rewatched it, even in the past few weeks, I was just like, wait, one, I'm a believer myself. So I was like, girl, wait, one, you got to reread your Bible, because what you just told her was a sin was not a sin. You yourself just sinned.
Well, that
And
being
that
said,
moment
none of the
was like,
Bible
None of the
verses in
stuff
this
she says
movie
even comes from the Bible.
is from the
It's
Bible.
all
None of it.
BS. None of it.
absolutely. Absolutely. So as a believer, I was like going, no, what are you telling her? And then not telling her of something that is natural, that of course, brings
It's gonna
children into
happen to everybody.
the world. Exactly. Well, to all of us biological females, yes. And it's like, you should have told her. You should have told her.
Yeah.
Because
Now, I want you guys to
that
clarify that scene for me,
Yeah.
because I literally watched it a couple of hours ago before jumping on here.
part.
Okay.
When she starts smacking her with the Bible and trying to get her the Bible and trying to get her to read the stuff because she just went ahead and had her period for the first time. Is it my understanding that she's pissed at her because she thinks she got it because she engaged in sexual activity?
No, she thinks she got it just because she sinned in general.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
But now that being said,
And that's not a sin.
No, obviously, but I just
she
Right.
that scene always kind of confused me as to what she think happened to induce a menstrual
Yeah.
cycle.
I
essentially.
don't think that she was like accusing her of having sex.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
But she
That's what I was
was
wondering.
accusing her of having sexual thoughts, because
Thoughts. Gotcha.
anything that had to do with sex was a sin to her.
Right.
Which she addresses wholeheartedly at the end of the towards the end of the movie.
Gotcha. Okay.
So and you're right. Don said quoted here, which he's absolutely correct about. Stephen King consistently misquotes the Bible in his movies, and he does it on purpose, by the way.
Yeah. I'm sure, yeah.
Right.
So,
And the other thing I'll throw out there is that, one, kudos to Stephen King as a man for putting, I mean, this is again first book and the first book to novel, and he's talking about a woman's menstrual cycle. That's like, I don't know, for my brain, I was just like, wow.
well, and here's
he
the
was a
thing on that.
teacher.
He was a teacher,
He was a
but
teacher, so that kind of makes sense.
his wife also held his hand through that.
Oh yeah, I did see a
sure.
quote. I did see a quote, though, I want to throw out there because I love this. It's in his book. It's dedicated. He said, "This is for Tabby, who got me into it and then bailed me out of it."
Yeah, because she basically told him, "You're going to finish this story."
Will.
Right. And where, because he had actually been told, you can't write from female's perspective. So she kind of helped mold him through that section.
Well done. Great
Um,
collaborative effort.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Lunar is in the house.
Yay!
Hello, Kelly. It's good to have you with us as always. She who wields the winch of power. um, okay, so we move from there, and the girls get punished.
Good.
We're going to hit the highlights. We're not going to hit every little section of the
No,
movie, but the girls
here all
get
day.
the girls get punished, and the gym teacher's making them run laps and do the calisthenics and all the things that 1970s punishment would be for those girls.
Right.
And our main antagonist, Miss I've got her name written down here, Nancy Nancy Allen. At the end, she's like, I love this line though, when she goes, there's only 10 minutes left, keep running. She goes, take those 10 minutes and shove them up your, and what happens?
God.
Wow! She gets her hands.
Knock you on your feet.
I here's the thing. Back me up in this, Chantal. I think you did some homework on this, but they said that there was they were having a hard time getting the proper reaction out of her, so they actually had her smack her on purpose.
She got slapped 30 times.
If you noticed, you guys have to watch the scene. If you notice the scene that they took, she smacked her, and then the teacher automatically takes her hand and puts her finger in it because she hurt herself. While
I'm gonna have to look at it.
Yeah,
I think I have noticed that before.
She kind of looks at her hand and does one of these, where she grabs her hand like this, and I was like, ooh, that hand hurt.
Why they didn't get that reaction? I think I know. Shanti mentioned, I think, something last night, because both Nancy, is it Allen? Yeah, Nancy Allen and Lori both thought it was a comedy.
Yeah, they thought it was ridiculous.
Until towards the end, when it came out, when she found out, she was the mean girl. She was the bad girl.
Yeah, she didn't even realize that she was an evil character.
Yeah, and
I don't see how.
They should have told her, "You're evil, girl."
They shouldn't have done anything because she played it perfectly.
No, she did. She did. It was strange to me that as an actress, how did you not read that script and think this girl's a bitch? I don't understand.
Right. They thought it was comedy.
Right.
I don't know if I'd want to do a 30 slaps, though.
Yeah, 30 slaps. You got slapped 30 times.
The 10th one, I would have been like, okay, this is no longer funny. Are we not doing a comedy?
Can you imagine doing that many takes?
Yeah. So between her and Carrie's mom,
Piper. Margaret.
Margaret White.
Between her and her mom, though, I mean, you're looking at this and going, okay, this girl doesn't get a break at school. She doesn't get a break at home.
She has no safe space.
She has none. Sissy Spacek, when she first came onto set, she basically said, I love you guys. I appreciate you, blah, blah, blah. We're going to have a really big party when this is over because I'm not going to speak to you anymore. And turned around and went to her trailer and stayed there.
Yeah.
So that she could feel that being ostracized or that aloneness, and play off of it, and it definitely worked out.
I know a lot of actors within the community, and I think even some moviegoers think that method acting can be a little too extreme and stupid. But you see, that's a version of method acting that I do think needs to be done. I do think that it does make it a lot better for her to play that character and not interact with the rest of the group that are supposed to be, getting along with everybody. So this is where I approve of that.
Right.
I think that there's a fine line with that, right?
There's a fine line.
There's a fine line. I think that if I read it correctly, also because I'd read a couple different quotes on that, is that as the movie went on and as Carrie became more on her own and more socially adept, and even her speech patterns began to change, that she became, she would like allow herself to talk to socialize with Tommy's character, or she would come out on set, and instead of being with them, she would be, in a corner where they could see her. So, she started breaking it in slowly, just the same way Carrie did in the movie.
I think it worked well.
It
So
worked
good.
very well.
Mhm.
Dragon Buddy agrees with you. He says method acting
It's
has
true.
its places and also has its boundaries that shouldn't be crossed. And we've seen,
Christian Bale takes it too far sometimes. Daniel
yeah,
Day-Lewis is another one who takes it a little too far. We've also obviously seen that Jared Leto takes it
Heath
way too
Ledger.
far.
Heath
Heath
Mm.
Ledger.
Ledger also took it way too far.
That's
Yeah, I mean,
topic in itself.
Yeah.
so yeah, so yes, it can work, but it can also be your detriment. It just depends. And I think that having that conversation with the rest of the crew beforehand also is
Mhm.
probably what allowed it to feel still more family oriented. Because I'm sure that when it was over, they had
Yeah.
a huge blowout. Um, so like you guys had said, alluded to earlier, we had the prayer closet,
Mhm.
and all the relics. They went out and bought actually like antique dollar
Mhm.
store type, junk relics to hang over the house, and it was very effective in making the house feel very um,
Creepy?
overly creepy.
Mm.
Overly creepy. I don't know where they got the statue that they used in the prayer closet of Christ on
Mm.
on the cross,
It's
but
not
those
Jesus.
eyes
It's
were
not
like,
Mhm.
Jesus.
No.
It's not
No.
Jesus.
I don't
It's Saint
know.
Sebastian.
Is that who it is?
Yes. It's
Okay.
supposed to be Saint Sebastian, and that is not a crucifix that he is on.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they went that route. I don't know if
It's
it's just
probably
that they
what they
didn't
could
wanna be
find.
offensive
No, I think
or
it's because that's what they could find.
that could be.
Because they had the Lord's Supper right behind the dinner table. So I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, I don't know, it was
yeah, I
very
think it was what they
strange.
could find. It was funny. I was watching a show, and these guys said that it looked like Dave Mustaine from Megadeth, and I just started laughing. I went, "Well, kinda, yeah, the hair anyway." Sorry, Dave, if you're out there, we love you. Um, so anyway, Carrie's powers start coming up. Even in the shower scene, the light bulb bursts,
Mhm.
and then
Right.
we have the De Palma's nephew who's riding the bike and making fun of Carrie, and then she causes him to wreck. I honestly don't think at this point in time she knows that it's her.
Right. Agreed.
I
I think that
disagree.
you think I don't think she's controlling it at that point. Do you?
I do only because when you look at the principal scene and she's staring at the ashtray, I feel like she knows, like, she's doing something, that something is occurring, that she's making it happen.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree with you, but if you look at the all three of the main scenes at the beginning, the mirror, right,
Mhm.
where she breaks the mirror, she breaks the light bulb, and she causes the kid to wreck on a bike. It's almost involuntary. It's all based off of her emotional state
But
at
she
that
still
point.
Right.
knows it's herself doing it. If not, she wouldn't even bother going to the library to check what it is that's happening to her.
Okay, I'll
So
agree.
she's gotta know that it's her herself doing it.
Or maybe
I'll
she suspects something's different. Something's changed
Right.
with body or within her brain that she's like, wait, something's not right or something's
But
different.
this is
What?
also where it differs from the book,
What?
because in the book, she's been able to do this her whole life. This isn't something that just came
Yeah,
on, you know what I
yeah.
mean? So
Well,
that's
and the book
Right.
kind of also laid out that it comes in that same family every 2 to 3 generations.
right, 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 right.
I like this from Belzora. She says, "I think she's hoping for something to happen, but not realizing that it is her when it does happen."
Oh, yeah. Good
Interesting.
point.
I think that's a really good way to put it, Belzora. Thank you
Right.
for chiming in. But for
Yeah.
those of you in the chat that don't happen to know, Belzora is our local horror expert. I
And
would go
she's
to her
awesome.
for. She is awesome. She's so funny.
Mhm.
She's so funny. Anyway, um, Carrie's just like her maturity and just like her social standing and as her speech patterns, everything else. As the movie progresses, so does her telekinetic
Mhm.
capabilities.
Mhm.
Um, so
But we see her growing in this
yes,
moment, right? As,
Yeah.
as she
yes,
grows, as she gets better, and she realizes this is, I can wield this power, and how do I use
Mhm.
it?
Right.
yes.
Sadly, she doesn't use it for the good of humanity.
No.
So this is about the point towards the middle of the movie where Amy and William and Tommy, sorry, Amy,
Tommy
Sue,
and
and
Sue.
Tommy, right, talk about getting Carrie. They feel bad for
Yeah.
what happened,
Right.
and how everyone's been treating her, so that they're honestly trying to do a good thing and be like, hey, boyfriend, girlfriend, why don't you take her to the
Mhm.
prom, right? Let's show her that how to get that help her socialize. Let's make her
Right.
feel better about herself, which I thought was a really touching sentiment to do.
Mhm.
Here's something that I found funny. To me, it's a little bit of a blooper. The movie's only an hour and a half, so they kind of move things along. At the
Yes.
exact same time, they're over there doing this.
Mhm.
Travolta is over here with his girl planning the
Right.
pig heist, right? They don't
Oh.
even know Carrie's going to the prom yet. And,
Oh.
you
Oh,
know,
right.
True.
yeah,
At the same time, while you think it's a good thing, you're like, are you sure they didn't plan it together? Because it's almost like,
Maybe that's why they did it to trick you?
I think so, because I think
Okay.
that we
That
were
would make
all
sense.
thinking that they were in on it,
Yeah.
and then later you come to find out,
yeah.
no.
Mhm.
One of the
So
mean girls is more
G-Force
mean.
asked a really good question. He says, "Was the mom so strict because she knew about the telekinetic ability?" Yes and no.
Yeah.
In the novel, yes, she knew about it. She
Mhm.
didn't know that Carrie had it quite yet. She knew it would reign in her family.
Right.
No, because she really was a zealot who should, if you remember, she said, I should have given you to God when you were born," meaning she
Right.
should have killed her when she was born.
Mhm.
And so it's conflicting on that, but it's a
Mhm.
really good question to pose. Thank you for
Mhm.
chiming in. We appreciate it. Um, yeah, I love this. I love this. He says,
Yeah,
she
trying to
was
pray the
trying to
evil.
pray the evil out of her. uh,
Right? I'm in agreement. I'm like, every time I hear the Bible part, I'm like going, oh, no.
Eve was weak. Eve was weak. Say it. Say
No,
it.
you're wrong.
What is wrong with you?
Why did you just turn into a dark helmet? Because good is stupid.
'Cause you're stupid.
Anyway, sorry. Yeah, we do have a tendency to go that way. Um, I don't even remember. Oh, so Nancy Allen, Chris is so. There's some things that happen in this movie that she is so demented.
No.
When they decide when they decided to how they're going to do the pig's blood,
Mhm.
and they go to the Bates. I love that, the Bates slaughterhouse, right?
God.
And the hotel or the school was Bates High School.
And the
Um,
music.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the music through the
Every
whole
time she
thing.
uses her telekinesis, you hear the violin from Psycho.
Yep, and that was done really by
Yeah.
mistake, but he loved it
Yeah,
and kept it.
Yeah.
Um,
worked well.
Very well. Um, so when they all start to back out, and Travolta's like, "Nope, I'm doing this. Give me the sledgehammer." And she starts yelling,
She's getting off on it.
really, "Ah, get it, go, do it." And I'm just sitting there going, "Oh my god!" And fast forwarding the car scene, when they show the close up of her, did you notice that she's like licking her lips, like, "Oh, I can't wait for this to happen."
She literally wants to kill her with the gun.
Uh-huh,
She
and she's
literally
going
wants to
and
commit
she it
murder.
yeah, and she's licking her lips like, "Oh, this is gonna be great." I mean,
I'm like,
oh my god, I
yeah,
No.
love
she
you,
is
Nancy Allen. That
so
was
evil.
oh, so evil, so evil,
Yeah.
and she was so cute too.
Always the cute ones, man. Always the cute ones. But I read, man, I mean, we think she's bad here. I read she's even worse in the books. And I'm like, God, how much worse can you get?
How could you get any worse? Exactly,
She's got to
exactly.
be one of the original Mean Girls. She's got to be.
It's
At least.
funny,
Such a bully.
I never put that together till you said that earlier, and I'm like, "Yep." And this is why
I've
we
been
asked Nicole to come
saving
on.
that one for a few days. I was like, I'm gonna make sure I let them know. 1970s, they were the bad girls, the mean.
They were it. So, oh man. So anyway, you know, Carrie Carrie is making her own. She makes her own dress, and
Beautiful too.
it was.
Before Pig Blood.
Oh, absolutely, with her dirty pillows that everyone could see. dirty pillows.
Yeah. But you know, it's still she was still pretty.
Yes.
This movie introduced me to that term.
The dirty
As
pillows.
Belzora, we had this conversation not that long ago that we're
I don't know if you saw it, but earlier in the conversation, Belzora was saying dirty pillows in the
I
conversation.
put hashtag dirty pillows.
There you
We're
go.
definitely- so,
Because everyone can see them and everyone's going to laugh at you.
yeah,
So,
we're all gonna laugh at you.
you know, I love it when she goes, "It's red. It had to be red," you know, or whatever the exact line
Pink,
was.
Mama.
And she's like, "It's pink, Mama." God, Spacek was so good in this.
I know. I feel so bad for her.
It's like you know, it's like her. Don't mistake her meekness for weakness.
Oh God, no!
Right. No, it's
Because
true. It's true.
Yeah,
very
totally.
next thing that happened in the scene is when Mom tried to keep her from going out the door. She, you know, used her telekinesis and pinned her to the bed,
Pinned her
and
to the
literally said, "Don't say another word until I'm out of this house." Something along those lines. I mean, it was
Mhm.
probably the first rebellious teenage moment that
Yeah.
she had in her whole life. You know,
And she made it a big one.
Yeah, she
Oh, boy,
finally
she did.
defended herself against her mother. She's like, I'm going.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you can't stop me.
Mhm.
And let's face it, no one could have stopped her. If she wanted to go, she was going. So, and I know we've skipped over a lot of the movie. We're just trying to hit the high points tonight because you know, like I said, you should have seen this. And if you don't know how good this movie is, you're
missing out.
I want to start cussing at you right now. So the prom scene comes and the big dance, which I thought the dance was done very well with the spinning.
Yeah.
So
They did that.
how did they do that?
So they were on a platform and they were spinning one way while they took the camera and filmed around them going in the opposite direction. And that's how they accomplished that.
That was a really, really
Very cool scene.
very cool scene. And it also kind of symbolized Carrie's life at that point, right? It had spun out of control. And you know, with the lighting in the background and you're seeing the sparkle of the lights and so forth, it's almost like she spun out of control, but now she's like in the middle of this whirlwind of
It's such a
emotions.
dreamlike moment.
Yes, and they use that dream style camera filter, almost like the fisheye filter, to make it feel more dreamlike as well. You know, and as we know, you know, the bucket is now hanging above the stage. They've rigged the election so that both Tommy and Carrie will win the election. Which actually, you know, Tommy winning kind of makes sense.
No, that makes
right?
sense. That makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. And to be honest with you, if Carrie's his date,
That kind of also makes
That
sense.
kind of.
that kind of also makes sense
I had
too.
a question about that.
Go ahead.
Is that something that really went down at prom, that you could not go to prom unless you had a date? Because that was not the ruling in my school, and I always found that to
No.
be very strange, and wondering if that was something that actually occurred in those days, or was it just a plot device?
Okay, so I know I'm old, okay, but I was not in high school and or going to proms in
Well, I was also asking
1976.
Nicole too. I mean, she went to a completely different school from me, so I don't know if it worked the same way.
No, for my school, no. And I
Okay.
I can answer even for my parents, actually, because
Mhm.
my dad and I talked about prom. Because one time, one of his dates, something, she got into an accident or something. And so him and another guy friend, they just went, had fun, whatever. But we also went to smaller schools.
Okay.
So
All right, so I have to share this.
you got
This
your prom picture? Oh,
you
okay.
ready?
I got all excited.
King hates piety without purpose, and I agree with that. He is Dragon Buddy said that he had read that the use of Sebastian, saint of holy death, was that her mother believed she died a holy death at the end, mirroring the end of Sebastian. So
Yeah, that
thank
makes
you for
sense. That's
that.
why the stab marks are the same.
Yes,
That
that
makes
makes
sense. Yeah.
DB.
I love you, DB. Thanks,
Yeah,
baby.
He has got a head full of knowledge that I'd hate to go against him. I
Don't
really
give him
would.
too much credit. He could have
Uh,
Googled that.
Well, that's true. Well, speaking of which, the 25th of this month, we're supposed to be doing something special with
Yes,
Video
we
Pod. And unfortunately, Dragon Buddy's going to be on that board, so we're going to lose.
Crossing.
Yeah, we're doing a crossover event on the 25th at the ATSW, the Escape Pod, and we're for the
TV's
25th,
my
which
boy.
is the
It's cool.
anniversary of true anniversary of Star Wars. We're having a trivia night, and I'm looking into a way to cross stream so that we can stream on both channels at once.
Don't cross the stream.
Don't cross the streams. So that should be a lot of fun.
Will be.
So, they've rigged the elections. They get up there. A couple of minor filming cues that went wrong during this section, but that's okay. I'm not going to worry about the fact that, she had a crown in 1 second. The next one she didn't. So Amy Sue Snell sees that they're there. She's the one who sent her boyfriend to the prom, right? With Carrie. And she's trying to point out that there's a problem, but the teacher is like, you're not supposed to be here because she didn't have a ticket. She gave her ticket to Carrie. I think that's where that came in, is she didn't have a date because she gave her ticket to Carrie.
Take it away.
Right.
So she didn't have a ticket to get in.
Right.
And throws her out. And that's what saved her life.
Right on time.
Right on time.
I love that scene. It's so beautifully done with the split screen.
Right, because I think the teacher just thought she was probably doing something. She was the bad guy.
I think she thought she was playing some sort of prank on her.
Right, exactly. And the reality is that there was still a prank happening, just she grabbed the wrong mean girl.
FYI, this is actually my favorite shot in the movie.
Oh, absolutely.
When you see the whole backstage go aflame like that, and it's one of the most beautiful shots in the movie.
Yeah, and just so you know, mine behind me is actually from the remake.
Oh, really?
I just happened to like the shot, so I kept it. I was like, oh, that's a cool shot there. So just so you know, Chantal, Don just says he knows how to make the cross stream happen. So
perfect.
I'll get with him on that. That'd be cool. So then we have the blood drops, and at that point in time, that's when you really know for a fact that Tommy's not in on it.
Yeah,
because he's mad,
pissed.
Oh, he was mad. He's like, and he's looking around, and JP Stalls is laughing so hard that her head's about to pop off. The bucket falls and hits Tommy on the top of the head, knocking him out. And JP Stall starts to laugh even harder. She looks like she's getting ready to give herself a heart attack.
I know.
Hello, Mr. Josh Sith Care Bear. We absolutely positively loved it. The fact that you're here. He says, Alan, Shanty, Nicole, and chat. I'm at work and can't really stay. Just wanted to pop in and say hi to everyone and tell Alan I'm so glad to see him back. Love you all. Josh, that means a world to me. I appreciate you so much, my friend. Thank you so much. And this is where the fun starts.
Dun dun dun.
Well,
I gotta say, this movie is a great slow build because this really is the most horrific part of the movie. Everything else is just a little tease.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What it does is it drags you through that suspense to the point to where when it finally lets loose, you're like, oh my, it's shocking. And I love the use of the camera here.
Yeah.
Everyone in the auditorium, except for JP Stalls and her boyfriend, are in total shock. They're all sitting there like, oh my God, what just happened? And all this stuff. But then they switch to Carrie's point of view, and it's all the little diodes of all the people's faces laughing, and she hears her mom saying,
they're all gonna laugh at you.
They're all gonna laugh at you, right? And she snaps. And when I say she snaps, that look, right? I can't do it, but that, and you hear the the violins.
Oh, and everything kind of goes silent. Like even the crowd kind of goes silent too. You suddenly don't hear any of the students speaking.
And the doors go
eerie.
And
it's amazing.
Right? So, while I will say that probably 90% of the crowd deserved what they got because of the way she was treated over her life, the one person, Miss Collins, who had one of the worst deaths ever, I think did not.
Yeah. She didn't deserve it.
No. Although the fat English teacher who
Mhm.
was making fun of her in front of
He
the whole
deserved it.
class
He
that got
deserved it.
electrocuted,
F that guy.
I is one of those where I stopped it, rewound it, and cheered the second
F that guy.
time.
I
Right?
liked some of now there's some differences there too with the book, because even the principal at the beginning who keeps calling her Cassie Wright and this and that, he is actually more sympathetic towards her in the book.
Yes.
And then the coach, Miss Collins, who that's not her name in the book, I read that
Deshawn, I think, was her name in
yeah,
the
they
book
said
or
that they
something along
changed
those
it
lines.
because no one could pronounce it.
Well, and you know
Mm.
that name appears in several Stephen King books.
Oh, interesting. I did not
Yeah,
know that. I did not
Say
know
it
distant
one
that.
more time.
relatives of hers come back in
Now,
several
in the
Stephen King.
book, Miss Collins actually deep down inside still doesn't really feel, anything towards Carrie. And she actually does laugh at her in the gym scene. But in the
Yeah,
movie, Carrie's just hallucinating her laughing. So
right.
I like these little subtle differences between the book. And I have a trivia about that.
Go.
Betty Buckley, when that thing drops down on her,
Uh-huh.
it was like the first time that they were gonna do it, and they weren't sure if it was gonna stop right at the point where it needed to. So
Right.
apparently she didn't have to do much acting in that scene because she was terrified. That seriously could have
Oh,
not worked and
absolutely.
most likely could have killed her. So I didn't know that. I thought that was actually really interesting. Did he die or was it just a concussion?
Well, he died because he was in the gym.
Well,
The
he
only
dies
one who
because
walked
he's in the gym, but I don't
right.
know if he necessarily dies by the bucket. But
Okay. Did you see
get out,
this?
Josh. Go to work.
No. G-Force, was that his bucket list? I'll show myself out. You don't have to
Josh,
No.
go
go,
make the
G-Force. We
projection room
love
sticky.
it. um, to answer your question, Luna Girl, yes, she is.
Mhm.
But it sounds like she's gotten a phone call from her sister, which for whatever reason, her sister always seems to call right in the middle of our podcast. So, uh, anyway,
She knows.
dingy blonde, but I love her. Anyway,
I'm
Now,
so
telling.
uh Carrie walks out and
Mhm.
the school is on fire. Just burns to the ground. She starts walking home.
Mhm.
Um, and this is where another thing that differs from the book. In the book, the whole town gets
Right.
demolished,
Yeah.
right? But that's
right.
okay.
The comment.
Um,
It's like a petroleum tank or
Right.
something that she explodes.
so we
That's
had
why the TV version is actually a little bit more accurate because they do
yes,
show that.
yes. He doesn't wake up before the fire
Oh, I
starts. So
just
it's
think he
like
has a
the most
concussion that he
lamest
gets knocked the
ever.
F out. Poor
So
Tommy.
poor
Poor
Tommy.
Tommy trying to be nice.
But at least he
No good deed goes unpunished.
he grew up to be a teacher. He found a space suit that gave him the power to fly, and he became the greatest American hero. So that's a good thing, right?
One of the greatest theme songs ever.
Really is.
Okay.
Oh, Mars says her work time changed, so I need to be nice, but she did it with a laughing face.
You're good.
Apparently she heard me. Sorry. um, and then we get the famous car scene,
Yes.
and
Oh,
and
It gives me
oh,
so
that
much
was.
satisfaction.
You know what though? I would have liked to have seen her like use her
Tortured.
telekinesis and like rip their arms from their shoulders. I mean, they deserved a slow, painful death, not that
Especially
in the
her.
car.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, him too, because he's dumb enough to allow. I'm telling you right now, okay,
This is true too.
I don't care if okay, I'm getting ready to show my age. I don't care if it's Christy Brinkley, Elle McPherson, one of those 80s supermodels when I was
Mhm.
growing up, right? If I'm dating them and I'm like, look who's on my arm. And she goes, you know what we need to do? We need to kill some pigs and drain their blood and dump it. I'm going to go, you know what? Game's over. Have a nice
Peace.
day. And, you know,
that's called being smart. That is a smart man. That is what that is. That is smart, wise.
like,
Because that means
no.
that's not good crazy. That's not bad crazy. That is what is called bat crazy. And
Yeah.
what bat crazy. She was beautiful, but bat crazy beautiful. And Yeah, he should have
Yeah.
walked away from
No,
that.
nope, 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 nope.
Well, I mean, after what he got in the car, I guess I'll blame him.
Okay, so there's here's the funny part about that. I don't know if you guys you have to watch that scene again. She's talking to him
I was gonna say, how is she
clearly.
doing that at the same time?
She's
It's
a
like she's throwing her
ventriloquist.
voice as she's doing it. What is she, a ventriloquist?
So I really hate this girl.
I was like, damn, this girl's good.
I really hate this girl. Right? I don't know. It's just whatever. It's so funny.
Details.
Anyway. Oh. I didn't say it was a perfect movie. I said 4.5 out of 5.
No. Agreed.
Yes, I agree with you, Josh. The hotness did not outweigh the crazy.
True.
Exactly.
No, it's
Thank
true.
you, Josh.
So I will tell you, as guys, we'll put up with a lot.
Yeah, but not that.
Not that.
But
You
that's
shouldn't
where,
put up with that.
but killing a pig to drain its blood is well beyond where I draw my line.
Yeah, in the words of Meatloaf, but I won't do that. I'm sorry.
I like meatloaf.
Oh, no.
I like meatloaf. Oh, that's not what we're talking about. Okay. Another song that should not be covered by anybody.
Thank you.
So then she goes home and her mother tries to do away with the evil, shall we say. And this is where we see what is it, yeah, in my opinion, the best kill in the movie.
Yeah.
Different from the book, if I'm correct.
Yeah, because it's
slightly,
to,
yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But the fact that she mimicked the cross, and that there was a potato peeler flying through the air at one point, I simultaneously laughed and loved that scene.
She takes a little long to die.
No, that's good. That's
no,
what
but
she
her
needed.
moaning is a little sexual.
Well, it is.
I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Well, hold on a second. I'll tell you why that is. We're going to back up. And, well, let's examine that.
Please enlighten me, because...
Well, if you remember, when she talks about how Carrie was conceived, and I was trying not to touch on, I'm going to be very gentle on this. Please, chat, don't be offended. Basically, it was a marital rape, which is why another reason why she hated Carrie.
Of course.
But as she was telling Carrie the story, if you remember, she got very aroused because she liked it.
Right.
Which is why it was a sin. Gotcha. So as Carrie was forcibly piercing her with the knives, Mom was enjoying. So apparently Mom was crazy because in more ways than just one.
Mom was kinky.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Oh, that makes total sense.
What do you think, Nicole?
Stephen King in his brain, I'm telling you, there is something with some of the things that he writes that's both kinky, arousing, yet horrifying and completely weird. I don't know how he does it, because he also did it with it. Okay, I'm not going to mention that scene because I can't even read in the book. I'm like, no, we're skipping that chapter at the end. I can't do that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I don't get it.
I'm sorry, I got distracted by the chat.
In it, there's in the book.
No, never mind. I already know what you're going to say.
Yeah, it's never mind. We're not going to bring it up.
Go.
Yeah.
I don't know what King was thinking there.
Her point was that Stephen King can sometimes get a little out there.
Yeah,
right. Pretty much. And I don't know how he does it. Like how, like.
Nicole,
I don't know how. I'm like, how does he do it? But at the same time, I don't want to live in his brain ever. Ever.
Yeah, I agree.
I have a problem with that part of the book.
I do too.
I'm glad they never showed in the movies.
Yeah, I do too. Are you ready? Again,
no.
Another reason why we love. That's the reason we love DB. So she then after this she uses her telekinetic ability. She burns the house to the ground, very Firestarter style. And so here's what I thought was really cool. In the book, she rains stones from the sky,
Stones, yeah.
right? Which they couldn't. They tried to do, but it didn't work.
Right.
Don't know if you noticed this or not. Is that when the next sequence happens and the girl's walking up to the house where it should have been all burnt and rubble and all that stuff, there were stones all over the yard still.
Right.
So I thought that was a nice little nod.
Mhm.
Oh, let's just
Right.
leave it that way. Kind of thing.
That
But
has
you
to be one of the best jump scares ever. It's one of my favorites. You don't really see it coming if you're watching it for the first time and you're completely unaware.
Yeah.
I love that last scene of the hand coming up from above.
Here's the thing that I didn't like about it, and this is my only major critique with that, is
Mhm.
the fact that they shot it through that fish lens,
Mhm.
right, which gave it that
Dreamlike look.
dreamlike look, which they used earlier in the film when it was a dreamlike, with the dance.
Right.
Had they shot it normally, where you thought it was an actual her doing it, not immediately go, "Oh, this is a dream," because of the way it's being shot,
Right.
it would have been 10 times more effective.
See, I like the dream part better because it shows just how psychologically messed up now Sue is, and
Right.
that
They
scene is
didn't
so
have,
impactful of her screaming, like that. And I
yeah.
know what you're saying. I get what you're
Well,
saying
what I mean
because
is they didn't have to change anything. It could have still been a dream.
right.
I
I get
think
what you
that
mean.
first part would have been more effective had it been just you didn't know it was a dream until she woke up screaming.
Gotcha.
That makes sense?
Mhm.
It had that, Friday the 13th stole that,
Yeah.
with
Makes
Jason at
sense.
the end, and it was
Yeah.
great. It was great on that one too. Okay, so I have to clear up something in the chat. Belzora said it's the cocaine.
What?
Talking about Stephen King's mental whatever. That happened.
Oh.
That happened much later in life.
Cocaine.
He couldn't afford it this early on.
Sorry.
you know, um, if you ever have a question, just watch the movie Maximum Overdrive. He directed that one.
Oh boy.
There was definitely cocaine involved.
Oh yeah, sure.
So, all right. So, Carrie, as a film as a whole, I'm using the word film on purpose,
Mhm.
Chantel. This
Yeah, this is
movie
a
to
film.
me transcends the genre.
Mhm.
It has become over time well more than it was when it was first put to film.
Mhm.
Just like this movie stands alongside The Thing as far as that's concerned, as of it transcending itself.
Yeah.
It's not as good as The Thing, but it's almost as good. Um,
And again, I know I shouldn't put so much emphasis on it, obviously, but I just love, once again, that it was that good that even the Academy was willing to
Right.
throw two nominations. It's like even they recognize, like, yes, it's a horror because they've always looked down on horror.
Right.
Yes, it's a horror film, but we've got to give recognition to these two women for their performances because they're just bonkers good. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
I think that also says something because unfortunately, just I hate that horror is seen like such low tier.
Yep.
Right.
It can be.
It
And
can be. It definitely
and
can be.
sometimes the low tier stuff's the more fun stuff,
But when I
right?
think of
When
how
you're sitting in a room full of
respected,
people and
it's a shame to me because it was such a respected
Mhm.
genre when it first started at Universal in the 30s. So for it
Right.
to have now where everyone went to go see those movies, now it's become a specialized thing that only certain people like.
Right.
I agree. I
Mhm.
agree.
And Sissy Spacek was like completely. That was her character. That was her baby, beginning to
Mhm.
end. Even that ending, that was her hand.
That
That
is
was
her
her
hand,
all the
yeah.
way to the end. And it's just like
He
I
stayed in that
remember
bloody dress for 3 days.
here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take it.
It
Here's the award. I'll give it
Yeah,
to
I
absolutely.
mean, major kudos for this
you.
Absolutely.
performance.
It's
Um,
definitely
I
one of
love
my
this movie. Oh,
favorites.
it's always been one of my favorite
all right,
Mhm.
horror
Nicole,
movies and
are
movies
you
in
ready?
general.
Uh-oh.
All right, Nicole, you
Uh-oh.
ready?
Maybe.
If one is a miserable dredge that makes you angry that you wasted an hour and a half of your life to watch it, And 5 is a movie that literally transcends the genre and can be better than than anything else that it's been. 3 is it hit all the marks. It's not it's good, but it's not great. Where would you put this movie?
Oh, this is right 4.5 to 5. This is right there. It's up high. It's high ranking.
4.5. Okay, I said 4.5 buckets of blood.
Right.
What do you give it? 4.5 what?
We'll go with buckets of blood. That seems to be the right words. I feel bad about the pigs, but
Okay.
It's appropriate for the movie.
Chantal?
I'm gonna give it a 4.5 as well.
It's like I want to give it a 5, but
I want to
maybe
give it a 5 too, but there are
But the
certain aspects of it that I'm just like,
Had they went back and reshot the blood scene where she
Mhm.
didn't just get just a little bit here and here, and then it pulled away and went back, and all of a sudden her crown was gone and she was covered head to toe.
yeah.
Some of those types of things could have
Yeah.
elevated it to a 5 for me.
right.
I also think the movie
Um,
could have been a little longer. I was actually surprised. Like, it always surprises me how quickly it all
to
transpires.
to be honest with you, I think the hour and a half mark was perfect for this film because
Yeah.
it hit the ground running, and because if it would have been longer, I
Mhm.
think you would have lost you because it was such a slow climb.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Um,
And it's
Belzora,
a
I
shorter
love
book.
you.
I think the book itself was don't even get me started on that,
200,
Vel.
Plug it up. Plug it up.
200 pages.
Right.
Plug it up.
It was a shorter book.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a short book. Yeah, that's true.
I'm really disappointed though in you, Chantel. I thought for sure you were going to say it was going to be 4.5 dirty pillows.
Everyone could see your dirty pillows.
Yeah. Anyway, all right.
Weirdo.
So that's Carrie. I would say by our rating that we would definitely recommend that you press play on this one, and
Hell yes.
if you haven't seen it, absolutely, it's a great movie.
Mhm.
Don't waste your time with the remake unless you've seen this one first, and don't waste your time with the sequel because
Ugh.
well, there you go.
I would
Anyway,
say take
go ahead.
time to read the book.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
book. Yeah.
Considered what's out there known as a banned book / challenge book. Over the years, it's been banned, and over the years, it's been challenged
Mhm.
for people to read. So read it because it's banned, and
And it's a
what's more,
strange
read.
read too because it's done like in the form of like newspaper clippings, I think, and like witnesses, and then maybe like her own personal point of view.
Oh,
It's a very
come
strangely.
on.
What is
I
it?
will say this: if you can find the original
Jeez.
audiobook,
Mm-hmm.
it was performed by Sissy Spacek.
Yes,
So
I
if you can
read
find
that.
the
That's
original
awesome.
audiobook, that would be a cool way to do it.
That
All
would
right.
be.
So I told you to kind of remind me, but I want to do. I'm gonna have to look out Dragon Buddy to see if someone would be willing to talk about The Mist with me.
Oh,
Ooh.
I
And the
don't.
reason I want to talk about the Mist is it is probably one of the darkest movies I've ever seen. A lot of people give that movie a bad go because of the dialogue and the things like that, but they don't realize that it was originally made purposely to be like that because he wanted to film it in black and white. He wanted it to be a throwback to 1950s.
I
Um,
love it. Sorry.
so
Never
if you
seen it.
watch the director cut,
Hurt.
Mm-hmm.
the director cut is in black and white. Everything
Oh,
else is the
really?
same.
Oh,
But the
black and
director's
white.
cut in black and white, and it works so much better. All right. So that being said, anything else you'd like to say? What do you got coming up, Miss Rogue One Radio, Nicole?
Well, we are taking the week off, so we will not be out tomorrow. So I assume we will be back on next Tuesday. So right
Excellent.
now, I've been busy this whole last couple of weeks. The last couple of days I've been really busy, but looks like this week's going to be a little bit more quiet, other than tonight. So
Nice.
counting down to also Scarif Con and seeing
Yes, coming up
everybody.
soon. Coming up
Mm-hmm.
soon. All right. Well, hang around for just a minute. I'm gonna stick you in the green room. Okay. Wasn't it great having her on?
Yes, I love Nicole. She
I
brings
do
the
too.
energy.
I really do. I've been
Too
really wanting her to be part of
close.
the show. Too close.
Ugh.
Really? Really?
No, no.
No.
Oh my God, no.
Anyway,
No.
thank you for coming on tonight. Also, I
Of
appreciate it very much.
course.
This was a lot of fun, and I'm
And of course, now I'm
hoping we
blurry.
we
There
can
we go.
figure out how to get some more of our normal show on as well. So I'm working on that aspect, and I know you hated to take some time off. I had to take
Mhm,
some time off.
mhm.
So with that being said, good night, Miss General. I appreciate you. Okay, hang around in just a few minutes. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on Press Play's Grave Reviews. This is our second horror episode. Fantastic movie called Carrie. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming to our chat, or as we like to call it, our living room. Because when you come to the living room of Press Play, what do? You grab your favorite snack, you grab your favorite drink, and you always remember to press play. You guys have a great night. We appreciate you. Come back and see us.